Today we're going to join up with the League as we have a look at the new Funko, Vynl, Justice League, Batman, and Wonder Woman vinyl collectibles. The set includes the Amazonian Princess Wonder Woman and the Cape Crusader Batman, and display stand wise, they come with clear display stands as their sole accessories. Let's take the tape measure 5,000 and put it next to each of the figures to figure out how tall they are. There we go. Wonder Woman is about 4.3 inches, or about 4.5 inches, give or take. In centimeters, that translates to be 11 centimeters in height. Now let's go ahead and measure off Batman. There we go. And putting it next to, say, the top of his ear. There we go. The figure stands, or vinyl figures, of Vynl Batman stands at 4.6 inches, or in centimeters, you'd be looking at 11.8 centimeters in height. Both the vinyls come with clear display stands, but actually, to be honest, I'm just going to take her off, for example. Her head is ginormous. That is an understatement, but surprisingly enough, she doesn't need one of these. It's one of the few instances that I've seen so far reviewing the vinyls in which the figures don't actually need stands. The same could be said for Batman, even though you have to kind of balance Batman just a little bit better. He stands perfectly fine too. Is it strange? So strange. Because oftentimes I've had vinyl figures with much smaller heads, and yet they can't stand whatsoever. But both figures, Wonder Woman and Batman respectively, each come with clear stands. The stands do look like they're identical to one another, which has also changed in previous instances where you might have had one larger peg, one smaller peg. Instead, they've just gone the route of using the exact same peg, which I think they really should have done right from day one. Why don't we have a look first at Wonder Woman, then we'll have a look at Batman. Now, both these figures are kind of in that Rankin Bass sort of design, which is something I've commented on a couple of times now. It reminds me of like the old Rankin Bass Wizard of Oz cartoon. I'm not really sure what's happened here with Wonder Woman. It looks almost as if she's got two halves, two parts to her that they've put together. As a result, you see this very obvious line running its way all around the top or front area of Wonder Woman's hair and ending on the other end here. Sprinkled throughout that, unfortunately, are these little globby sections of glue. I'm not really sure what has happened here. I'm not sure the story of why this had to be a separate piece. But sure enough, clear as day, you can see that there's this big noticeable line running, literally cutting through her hair. Overlooking that, and one other little point to make, she has a very crooked sword. Look how she's not going to be fighting Ares or anybody for that matter. Certainly not Steppenwolf with a really crooked sword like that. I'm going to have to probably heat that up, get that to bend back in place. Luckily for this reviewer, it's of a softer variety as opposed to being a dense, rigid plastic, which would break off the moment I would try to bend that. Face sculpt is good. A stern look on Wonder Woman would be the best way to describe this particular vinyl release of her. She's not by far at all as pouty as the Cape Crusader. Looking forward to having a look at him in a second. But head sculpt is actually really good. Her tiara is actually something that they've sculpted over top of her head, simply not just painting it in place. I like that. Eyes are quite pretty and yet very serious. I don't want to be messing with this particular Wonder Woman. Her nose is one of the only other things that is sculpted rather than painted on like the eyes and the mouth are. The suit, the Wonder Woman suit, is very metallic in nature. The only thing actually that isn't metallic, it seems to be, is the red. The top bodice area is more of a matte paint, as well as the feet down below. The skirt, however, as well as all the silvers and the golds, as you can see here, are metallic. Nice metallic blue, nice metallic gold, nice metallic silver. Really well sculpted figure. utilizing really similar components, things that you would normally come to find when it comes to the vinyl figures, but still nonetheless something I very much appreciate. Like really a lot of time, care, and not just simply painting on the details, but sculpting over top of them. Like I think that's quite nice. Posability on her, there's really not much to be said for either of these. This is all you're really going to get. To be fair though, when we looked at the Deadpool and Cable, you'll remember that those were bobbleheads, which is the one detriment that I had towards those lines. How often is he going to rotate her head? But I like that these ones actually just have rotating heads. That's the way that they should be. I'm glad that these ones at least do. I sort of held off on Batman for being the second figure to look at because I love the look of Batman here. Pouty would be the best way to describe it. I know it looks like he's BA, you know what BA stands for, but instead it kind of makes him look a little bit like he's pouty. Everybody else has been invited to Superman's birthday party, and Batman hasn't. And as a result, he's just kind of moping around the Batcave. I love the 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock shadow that they've currently got him sporting here. Got his little cleft chin. Love the face here, though. I don't know if I would say that this is black. Rather, instead, I would say it's probably closer to being like a really dark gray. Dark. The cape is really nicely sculpted on the back. More of a rigid plastic. Seems like it's a little bit denser than Wonder Woman's sword. Here we have, I don't believe it's the tactical suit, otherwise you would obviously have the goggles present here on his cowl. But instead they've used 2 different colors of gray. The panel lining does a good job. I don't know if I would have gone the route of giving all this additional dark gray. I think the one shade of gray, or at the very least, this shade of gray, not maybe the lighter shade, but maybe this shade of gray would have worked well consistently across the board. You have your little tiny bat arms and bat hands, and you've got the little thin spikes there on the sides of his gloves, and a very broad utility belt, very accurately colored in almost like a beige brown. I love this. This is probably one of my favorite vinyl figures. Just love the look of him. Posability on this guy would be exactly the same as Wonder Woman, but at the very least, it's not a bobblehead spring. I really don't like bobblehead springs, and I'm so pleasantly happy to find and provide to you guys the 411 on this, that neither of which have bobbleheads. You could do this until the cows come home, or until Alfred comes home and says, why you keep twisting Master Bruce's head. I wish that these were a little bit more on a ball joint end of it, but I'm just happy as punch, pleased as punch, that we are getting ourselves League members in vinyl form. Surprisingly, again, both stand relatively well. Wonder Woman, funny enough, for as big of a melon of her head as she has, she stands a lot better than Batman does. Batman kind of leans a little bit, but he still stands perfectly fine. If you are a little bit on the worrisome side that these are going to fall off your shelf, don't worry. You can also use the clear display stands that come included with them as well. I think it would be safe to say that if we have already gotten ourselves a Batman and we've gotten ourselves a Wonder Woman, that the League member, the other League members that is, probably aren't that far behind. We may likely still get ourselves a Superman, a Flash, a Cyborg, and Aquaman, and I'm really super excited to see all of them in vinyl treatment. As much as I rip on Funko, and I do it quite frequently, on some of the unnecessary swarming of shelves as we get with all the pop vinyl figures, I think vinyl is really the way to go. And I don't mean the material, I mean VYNL, which is basically this subcategory of pop figures. I like the look of them. They're very reminiscent of like the old Rankin Bass cartoon animation, and I really like that these characters look very distinct to one another. The Funko Pops at nausea I find just are too much, and just too many characters, and just too much shelf space being occupied, that I think Funko should really do some more of these kind of things, because this is really the kind of collectibles that I would be finding myself picking up, and I seem to be picking up a lot of them, as you guys probably have seen in the videos on this channel. If you specifically want to, by the way, check out all my other vinyl reviews, there's a playlist on this channel specifically for Funko vinyl. That would be VYNL. If you want to see all of these types of reviews that I've done up to this point. Don't worry, there's going to be a lot more coming your way as well, because it seems like every time there's a new vinyl release that comes out to my comic book store, I always get them right away. So if you guys like vinyls like I do, let me know down below in the comments section. In the meantime, though, we were having a look today at the Funko Vinyl Justice League. This was Batman and Wonder Woman vinyl collectibles. But the only good thing, that's not true. I was going to say the only good thing that Funko is producing nowadays. The other thing I would really like, though, is Mystery Minis. Mystery Minis and Funko vinyls. Everything else they can pretty much stop doing. I'm looking more at the direction of Dorbs. I don't know who's buying Dorbs. Anyways, if you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, what are you waiting for? More videos, including more Funko vinyls, will be coming your way soon. Also, if you haven't had a chance, swing by the homepage. Stop by for a cup of tea. And while you're there, see if there's any videos that you may have missed along the way. With the sheer number of videos that I'm uploading on a regular basis, I know it can be overwhelming at times. Just think, I'm the guy that's doing them. See if there's any videos that you may have missed along the way. There's a good chance that there may be a review that I did last week, for example, that you might have missed out on completely. You should be able to find it on the homepage. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.